CNN is all fear factors. Politicians, old dirty bastards. Fuck them if they don't back the blackness. Presidents, just a bunch of actors. Ain't trying to push true history, it's just history. He know the truth will set you free. Know the color black is not a nationality. Not Afro-American, we not from overseas. Ain't no reparation to the mind is free. It's the guy mindset you can't steal from me. Didn't land in the US, it landed on me. Colonizing playing game too blind to see. Trying to get a tax break, tracks taste the cheese. Trump and Harris ain't did shit for me. Raise my taxes for the deportees.
Welcome to Black Vatican, where we'll be discussing history, music, science.
Do you know any so-called Indians with a name Ramadan Ibn Wati? That sounds like a Moorish name, right? And don't forget now, this is the Cherokee Nation, the last leader. How you got a Moorish name, Cherokee leader? 1866. It gets deeper.
My nigga.
See that? Lenape Moors, Washita. For the ones out there talking about, I'm Apache, I'm Arawak, I'm Mohawk, I'm Mohican, I'm a Cherokee, I'm a Cree. Did you know that the names that I just read off, like Anasazi, Zulu, did you know that those are Moorish names? He's heating up. All those names I just read, all those are Moorish names. All those names are Moorish. You thought they was Indian because you so used to hearing them. You think that those are Indian names. Nah.
Let him cook. I'm gonna let him.
So keep in mind, when they use code words like Arabic,
cook,
Indian,
cook,
Muslim,
cook,
when they using words like Berber,
cook,
Phoenician,
cook,
Mayan, Olmec, Toltec, all those names etymologically are Moorish.
It's like iron sharpen iron. So
killers respect killers.
You had to be destroyed to be rebuilt.
If they lied about Columbus and your heritage, what else are they lying about?
Listen, golf courses were never meant to be golf courses. They were sacred grounds, power grounds, ancestral grounds, where the tribes came together, not just to chill, but to sign peace treaties, break bread, and straight up demonstrate ancient tech from the old world. Let me break this down. You got Niagara-on-the-Lake Golf Club, oldest course in North America. That's an ancient battlefield land. They will never tell you that's where tribes came in from the north, the Mississippi, all across Turtle Island. That was a peace ground. We would post up, do trade, and when the sun and moon aligned, we would show out with technology from the old world. Levitation devices, frequency tools, copper coil cymatics, we had it all. Same with Druid Hills, Georgia. They call it Drew Hills in the old maps. That was not a coincidence that they laid an 18-hole course on that location. That's where the Yamasee, Creek, and Washita met with the Blackfoot and Aniunwia and signed kinship treaties under the stars on mound-built platforms. The Red Stick Accord was one of them. They call it oral history now because they buried all the damn scrolls. But ask around. The griots know. Thompson Park in Watertown, New York, that whole ley line was a vortex node. Old Moorish families brought their children there for rites of passage, and when disputes came up, we didn't go to war first, we went to the council at the Hill of Fire. That's what it was called before they flipped it. They even paved over the sacred council rings and called them sand bunkers. But them sand circles were made for vibration summoning, not no damn Tiger Woods. The kicker, Frederick Law Olmsted, the so-called landscape architect, was one of the top agents in the reset. Look up his hand in Central Park, Lake Park in Milwaukee, and Durand Eastman in Rochester. He didn't just plant trees, he covered ancient tech, burial mounds, libraries of stone. You want to read some real shit? Start with Ancient Monuments of the Mississippi Valley by Squeer and Davis. Smithsonian tried to bury that one. The Washita proper by Empress Verdiaxi Tiari Washita. She called it out before they silenced her. They Came Before Columbus by Evan Van Sertima. It'll open the floodgates. And dig up the Bureau of American Ethnology reports. Straight feds admitting mounds was tech sites. That's how they do it. Turn sacred ground into recreational ground. Turn ceremony into sport. That's psychological warfare. We gathered there for counsel, burial, healing, star alignment, energy work. The mounds were decoration, they were technology. Earth receivers. After the resets, the mud floods, orphan trains, reconstruction, they flipped the script. Burial sites and palaces turned into pudding greens. Then they slapped a $500,000 price tag on entry and told the descendants of the builders, you can't come in unless you're a member. So next time you're sitting in Congressional Country Club looking out over that quiet green grass, know this, that was never no damn fairway. That's a burial site, a treaty ground, a Moorish embassy, and that black busboy refilling your wine, he is not your servant. He is the true nobility, the descendant of the royal bloodline that built the ground you are dining on. Isn't it ironic? Black folks can't even enter the gates of land that belongs to them. That's the real game being played. That's the key. That's how they do it. Turn sacred ground into recreational ground. Turn ceremony into sport. That's psychological warfare. Not no birdie, no par, no back nine. So every time you see a golf course like the Concession in Florida, or Congressional in Maryland, or Druid Hills in Georgia, don't just see luxury. See a damn stolen portal. See the remains of a Moorish embassy, a ceremonial site, a technological node of the old world. That's not no country club. That's the Moorish estate, rebranded. That's where the treaties were signed. That's where tribes gathered to align with the cosmos and lock down the earth grid. That mansion you dining in, it's a converted palace from before the reset. So the next time you sipping champagne on the veranda or swiping your elite pass in the locker room, just know you sitting in the house of the so-called black man. That's the real inheritance, that's the real tea time, and your time running out.
If they lied about Columbus and your heritage, what else are they lying about?
Please be patient with me because there's so much here. I think the quick answer is that Asian Americans are given white privilege, especially the Asian Americans who fit the model minority stereotype. The quid pro quo for receiving that privilege is upholding white supremacy culture, which means being anti-Black. I was talking with somebody last night who was pointing out that the Civil Rights Amendment was passed in 1964. But also in the 1960s, the United States opened the door to Asian immigration. So now you have an influx of racial minorities who knew nothing about the history of white violence against Black people, knew nothing about the Black civil rights movement. So they arrived with civil rights, not understanding how that came to be. And also, it effectively erased the United States' own anti-Asian history, because Asian Americans came in not necessarily knowing about the Chinese Exclusion Act or the internment of Japanese Americans in the United States during World War II. And I think that Asian Americans are used as a buffer between the Black community and the white community, because in the 1960s, there was almost a racial reckoning. The white power structure almost had to face accountability for the history of violence against Black people. But instead, Asian Americans were inserted and were pit against each other, so that we're always up against each other, and that basically like white supremacy escapes accountability. And the example that I think of that sort of started like the root of a lot of tension is Asian Americans were buying into the negative media stereotypes of Black people. And then in the events that led up to what became known as the LA riots, the LAPD kettled protests away from wealthy white neighborhoods and into Koreatown, and then they left. And we know how that played out. So again, the two communities being pitted against each other and away from the white power structure. And obviously the model minority myth is used to oppress the Black community. And there's so much here. I will be getting more into it, but I feel like that's the quickest answer that I can give that gets a little bit into the history. And I'm really curious to know what the Black community and Asian Americans feel about this. But please be patient.
If they lied about your existence, what else are they lying about?
The Taino people originated from South America, specifically Orinoco River region of Venezuela. As much part of the broader Arawak migration into the Caribbean, spreading from the Lesser Antilles through the Greater Antilles, Cuba, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, and into the Bahamas. You see? So from the Bahamas, all in the Greater Antilles and Lesser Antilles. The real names is right there. Zamaca, Boricuan, Ayiti. Look at the real name of the Dominican Republic. You see? Every so-called island in the Caribbean, which is really Hispaniola and the Greater and Lesser Antilles, you are Taino and Arawak. That's who you are. That's your bloodline. You're not Indian. You're not West Indian. That's not a place. The islands over here, it's not known as West India. That's Cap. Think about this, how crazy this sound now. They call the people that live above Mexico Indians. This is where they fucked up at. But they call the people that's in the islands West Indian. But the direction of west is to the left. Why wouldn't they call them East Indians? Because last time I checked the directions, east was to the right, west was to the left. So how could the people in the islands be West Indians? They've been capping us down. That shit dead now. Moors and Tainos share a complex intersecting history, largely through the colonial genetic and cultural blending that occurred in the Caribbean. The Moorish paradigm, that's the connection. That's the bridge. Black, African American, Indian, Pan-African, that's all propaganda. It's no connection there. It's no historical bloodline connections with none of those misnomers. That's why you gotta throw them in the trash. They have no historical connection to land, history, culture, or bloodline. Throw them in the trash. But remember, these people that got these ginormous platforms, they getting stipends to sell you out. They getting paychecks to literally be agents of confusion. This is their job. That's why they keep going. That's why Moors that know, we gotta go harder and keep bombing out real information.
Were black people already in America when the slave trade started? Absolutely. There's a real good book called They Came Before Columbus. A lot of great resources, a lot of great references in that book. And we realized that people came from Africa and were already doing a trade and barter with the Mayans long before anybody ever came to the Americas, European. Matter of fact, this was so long ago, they weren't dealing directly with Mayans initially, they were dealing with the Teotihuacans, a culture that existed before the Mayans, and remnants of the Teotihuacans and the African trade exist in the jungles down there. We left these gigantic big stone Olmec heads. And so not only did they trade and barter, but they also even married in with each other and started having children in the Americas. And this was the beginning of the black African race in the actual Americas. We became some of the indigenous tribes here. So some tribes were already here long before Columbus accidentally thought he was heading to India and ran into the Caribbean islands. So that's how he got here. He thought he was in India. That's how we got the name Indians. So we started calling people Indians, which is actually an insult to an indigenous American. They're not Indians, they're indigenous Americans, natives. But we call them Indians because of Christopher Columbus. That's an insult to them. And so people were here long before 1492.
How did they enslave us?
Okay, so this is where it happens. So the people here—
If we were already here.
Yeah, there were people here, but not enough to create a workforce like what they wanted. They then were going to Sierra Leone and other places in Africa, off the coast of Africa, and tribes that had captured their enemies were then selling those people to the Europeans.
Right.
The Europeans were bringing them over on boats, and they were creating this workforce because it was easier to take a dominated and already, people who were already taken over and already had lost, versus trying to go to a new land. And there were very scattered pockets of these tribes throughout the Americas. It wasn't like there was a bustling hundreds of millions of people all around. They came, there was a lot of open land, a lot of open areas just there for the taking, there to be used. And so they brought these people over. So they created this slave trade, and they were coming back and forth with these slaves. Well documented. I mean, well documented. They kept great logs, unfortunately, for some of the people. I mean, the logs are, heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching logs. But they kept the logs. So we know that the slave trade was real. But also, when they got to America, they started dealing with some of these tribes and teaching them how to run their slaves too, and how to control and sell their slaves to other parts of their country. And so in some way, even the indigenous natives started getting involved in the slave trade. This is one of the biggest secrets out there.
Thank you, God, for this day. For people that still call us by a color and still call us by derogatory shit that was created by Europeans, I hope you understand, when you start doing shit like this.
According to Cornell University, over 80 federally recognized tribes across the U.S. have gone through disenrollment. And in the past 2 decades, some estimate at least 11,000 individuals have been exiled from their tribe.
And that's a telltale sign that your America is about to go, and it's a business.
Virginia's ruling elite claimed to be blood descendants of Pocahontas, and in their view, that meant that no one else in Virginia could make a claim that they were Native American, a descendant of Pocahontas, because to do so would mean that Virginia's ruling elite would have to be classified as all other non-whites were, which was, in quotes, and this was the law, the inferior Negroid race.
Let's keep on. The American Aborigines, and begins with the inquiry into the origin of the American man, incidentally into the origin of man in general, right? Roll the corn. He calls attention to the similarity of the mounds in Ohio Valley to the mounds found in Ireland at Danish forts, right? Why the mounds in Ohio like the mounds in Ireland? The Danes. Danish is Danes, people. The Danes were the royal family before the Queen of England got in there, right? But they're not 100% us. The Danes are the people from that area mixed with us that became royalty in these areas. Danes is Danes, right? Danes are some type of Moors, people. That's what I'm trying to show you. Roll the call. Now, let's get to looking around a little bit. Let's just get to looking around just a little bit. You're going to start understanding what's going on. Right? Now, where do these people, the Danish, the Vikings, where they learn how to get, start making ships from, people? Where did they learn how to start making ships from? Our people landed over there first, the pure-blooded ones. Then we mix with the people of that land. They learn the trade of shipbuilding, and they become some sort of Viking Dane later on down the line. You get it? Roll the cord. So we are mixing and civilizing people everywhere we go. You must understand where these cultures come from. Right? Danish, Dane, forts. I'm finna get deep now. Y'all stick with me. I'm finna get deep. Stick with me. Now, civilization in ancient America. Primeval tribes in ancient America. Primeval tribes. Now let's go look that up. I want y'all to understand what this stuff means now. Roll the call. of the world. You see it? The oldest age of the world, American tribe. Let's keep going. Primeval tribes. Hold on. Here we go. Primeval tribes. In ancient America, right? Ancient and evidently advanced civilization, whose ruins are scattered today through Mexico, Central America, and Peru. Did it come from the lost tribes of Israel, or did it come from the Phoenician? Right? There are many advocates of both theories. They're favoring the latter Phoenicians, the Simpsons being the more numerous, right? So they're talking about whoever built these pyramids and stuff like that, or some type of Paleo-Canaanite people. Right? Let's keep going. Where today are any clearly perceptible traces of the Phoenician race or language among the Indians? Where today are any clearly perceptible traces of the Phoenician race or language among the Indians? It is well known that the Phoenicians gave the alphabet to Greece and other Western nations. That our modern alphabet are modifications of that of those ancient and mysterious people. Had they come to America and lived there long among to build those great cities, they would surely have left some traces of their languages in the living tongue and the sculptured stone. And they're saying, if they were there, it would have been there. Y'all start finding Phoenician stuff all over America. Paleo-Canaanite Hebrew language. Let's keep going. Grecian or Egyptian mariners sailing in the track of the Phoenicians had reached Mare Sargosa, the vast plain of seaweed in the mid-Atlantic where Columbus found, frightened his sailors, by which every mariner still finds in the same latitude. This Greek took on to be the relics of the sunken Atlantis and was turned back in despair. But if the Phoenicians came, where their monuments commenced rarely erect monuments that will stand in storms and winter for 3,000 years, yet there are many mysteries in America that turn out thoughts towards the Phoenician commerce. The gold mines of North Carolina were worked before Columbus came. Those of Alabama were worked. The copper mines of Lake Superior were worked on a large scale. Trenches were opened and galleries cut. Vast amounts of ore taken away. Other large masses particularly moved toward the entrance and left behind. Who did all that work? Certainly not the Native Americans. Certainly not the Native Americans. No one dreams that they were such miners, right? Certainly none came from the west, from Asia, crossing the Pacific, and then the Rocky Mountains, the desert, the Lake Superior, right? The bareback of materials by the route they came. These miners have come from the east and right? They say they could be, if not the Phoenicians. Who else done it but the Phoenicians? Gold in North Carolina, Alabama mines, Lake Superior, right? Let's keep on. In fact, starting from the mines of Lake Superior, we find down in Scotia in Ohio. Scotia is a mound complex in Ohio, right? In Ohio and Mississippi, through Missouri, Kansas, Kentucky, all the way to Natchez, Mississippi. Remnants of mounds, fortifications, altars, right? Show that they are the work of vast mass of people having a common government, a common religion, much military skill, and a knowledge of agriculture. Reaching nations, this colony may have long lost all hope, and giving themselves up to the universal human instinct, may have turned their faces westward as we follow them by the traces of their mounds and works through Texas and Arizona and Sonora, where they touch the Gulf of California and the shores of the Pacific, forcing to turn westward. We follow them to Mexico, Yucatan, where Cortez found their descendants in a state of civilization which filled him and his people with astonishment. Let's stop right there. Roll the corn. You just understand what people just told you? Them people just told us that these monumental people come across the southeast all the way to Mexico, to Arizona, right down to Mexico, all the way to Peru. And about time Cortez came, you find the descendants of American Indians of these people. These elite receipts, man. These are elite receipts. Y'all screenshot that. Screenshot that. Now, they just showed you all the way from North Carolina, all the way through Alabama, Mississippi, all the way through all there. Texas, they went all the way to California, to the Pacific, down to Mexico, built Yucatan. Cortez found their descendants. Okay. Cortez. Who did Cortez find? Let's go look.
They thought I came to play around and it's no playtime. The ones that's out here like agents of confusion, you getting destroyed. There are far more pyramid-like structures in the Americas, especially than Africa. The ancient Egyptian word for pyramid is M-E-R or M-R. Now, when you take the vowels out of the word America, it leaves M-R. So how you saying that we not Moors if literally the pyramid is Mer, which is a derivative spelling, Egyptian spelling of the word pyramid? There's another spelling, M-U-R. If you like, it's only the M-U-U-R Moors, and it's only the M-O-R Moors. They the ones that sold out. You colonized. They love you. So what you finna do? You finna argue with language? Show me somebody that got an older receipt than a hieroglyphic receipt. M-A-U-R is a derivative spelling of M-O-O-R or M-U-U-R or M-O-R or M-O-H-R-E-N. Any direction you go, you gonna get Ethan. Pyramids versus M-I-R, another spelling of Moor. The real name of a pyramid is a Mer, M-I-R, so you got M-I-R too? All you finna do is hurt yourself. Show me somebody who can show you an older receipt than a hieroglyphic receipt. Show it to me. You got a receipt that's older than that? Then show it. If you don't, move around. Did you know that they got pyramids over there in China? Google it right now. Google the Forbidden Zone in China. It's gonna blow your mind. So that means Egyptians who are Moors traveled to China, which is really Manchuria, and they developed pyramids in China. And Chinese people who are Manchurians, they know we Moors, they was all dark-skinned complexion over there. That's why it ain't no such thing as no Asiatic black man. Nah, that's cap. That's the sellout talk. Ain't no Asiatic black man. We Asiatics and Muslims.
A History of the Moors within European Lexicons, Part 4. Jakov Mikalja was a Croatian linguist and lexicographer and author of the first Slovakian dictionary of the Illyrian languages. Here is how the Moors are defined in his book, Arap, this is Moor Ethiopian, Ethiops, and Moris. Inside the traditional history of the Balkans to be an Arab is to be a black person. Within the region of Dalmatia, the Moresca dance is practiced to celebrate Christian victory over the Moors. In other parts of the Balkans, people celebrate the victory of a Serbian prince within the ballads of Marko. These traditions reflect a history of the Moors as they existed within Byzantine Roman history and the Ottoman realm, showcasing that Moors did not exist inside a bubble of Spanish history, but the entire Mediterranean.
Your ancestors were never illiterate.
So there were a lot of different languages that existed on this continent. And by this continent, I'm talking about Canada, North America, South America, and all the islands, right? The kings of Mayak, like those of Egypt, Chaldea, India, China, Peru, etc., took upon themselves the title of children of the sun, all right? And in a boasting spirit, that of the strong, the vigorous sun. Now the word kin is the Mayan word for sun. Now let me show you how we use the languages that we thought were erased, right? It's just a part of us. It's in our spirit to use these words. Kinfolk. I know you heard it before. People of the sun.
Something that I wish more white people understood is that it is not about guilt for sins of the ancestors. First of all, in my opinion, guilt is counterproductive and self-indulgent. It results in one of two things: either people refusing to learn about or acknowledge anything that might make them feel guilty. That's where we get denial, willful ignorance, justifications, and deflection. Or fragility, where a person centers their guilt and uses it as an excuse for inaction. That's where we get reverse victim and offender. Gosh, I feel so bad that I don't know what to do. I can't hear about it, so anybody who's talking about it is doing it intentionally to hurt me, and now they are the oppressor. The thing is, it's about the systems of oppression in the United States that we continue to uphold and are complicit in upholding. I don't think that white people need to pay reparations because they are to blame. I think that the United States owes reparations, and I don't exempt myself for being Asian American. As somebody who lives in the United States in 2023, I also benefit from systems of oppression and atrocities that built the United States. Now, being Asian may mean that I can rest assured that my ancestors don't have the blood of native genocide or the transatlantic slave trade on their hands, but as so many people in the comment threads love to point out, whose ancestors don't at some point in history have some blood for some atrocities on their hands. And the point of learning about that history and acknowledging it is not to make culpability disappear, it's to learn how to do better now. And it's not that the United States doesn't have a history of paying reparations. The United States paid reparations to former enslavers for their economic loss in the formerly enslaved. Lincoln had promised 40 acres and a mule to the formerly enslaved, and that promise was rescinded by Andrew Johnson. So if you don't support reparations, you are supporting the United States' history of that broken promise. The United States paid reparations to Japanese Americans who were interned during World War II, to families who lost loved ones during 9/11, and to Americans who were held hostage in Iran. And that's not about assigning blame to individual American citizens. That's the United States recognizing travesties that should be redressed. So if you don't support reparations, what you're saying is you don't feel that chattel slavery was a travesty that the United States should acknowledge and redress. These are not sins of ancestors. These are actions that we engage in now. If you vote for a president who cracks down on immigration and causes a labor shortage so severe that the agricultural industry resorts to forced prison labor at a rate not seen since Jim Crow, and you refuse to learn about and acknowledge how the United States carceral system extended from the system of chattel slavery, that is not the sins of the ancestors. Those are actions we engage in now.
If they lied about your existence, what else are they lying about?
Welcome to Black Vatican, where we'll be discussing history, music, science, math, and physics